Hi, welcome everyone, MUET candidates. So this is a video on how to attempt the writing task 2 for MUET, right? So we'll focus on how to break down the question and also what kind of format we can use for the introduction as well as body paragraph. All right, shall we begin? So this is a sample question. Let's go through it together. You are advised to spend about 50 minutes on this task. You attended a talk by a youth speaker. During the talk, the speaker suggests that to reduce crime in the long term, courts should significantly reduce prison sentences and focus on education and community work to help criminals not to reoffend. Prison is not a cure for crime. To what extent do you agree or disagree with the opinion? Write at least 250 words. Okay, all right, so where do we begin? In the exam, I would suggest that always go to immediately. This is a reminder to yourself. Circle 50 minutes, okay? Remind yourself 250 words, okay? So 250 words here, I would say perhaps for some of you who have just started your journey in MUET and you don't have a lot of time to prepare, or let's say your comfort level is actually or needing to score like a band 3, 3.5 sort of thing, then of course, by all means for strategy, write 250, 280 words. And then, however, for some of you who are targeting a higher band because your university course requires so, I would recommend perhaps 250 to 280 words to be a little bit more expressive, okay? All right, so that's out of the way. Let's move on. So what do we have here? An opinion has been shared with you, right? The opinion is that to reduce crime in the long term, courts should significantly reduce prison sentences. So this is already happening now. There are actually some prison sentences that are quite long. However, this question is suggesting that we should reduce the time. And what should we do then instead? We should focus on education and community work, right? So this is an opinion. And I would say kind of like a quote or title that has been given to you. I like to think of this as the title, which is "Prison is not a cure for crime." So how should we use this information? Do we write 100% on this, that we should reduce crime by reducing prison sentences? So how do we go about it? The instruction tells you to what extent do you agree or disagree with the opinion. So you can actually have a varying percentage when it comes to whether you 100% agree with this or not, or maybe it's 80-20, 60-40, okay? Because the question here specifically includes the word extent, to what extent, okay? So of course, if you're going to write about something 100%, so meaning you completely agree with this, I'm not sure how much would you be able to extend. My suggestion would be to write on both sides, okay? So what are both sides? One side of the opinion is to actually reduce prison sentences and replace them with perhaps education and community work. On the other hand, or on the other side, you have those who disagree. They think that, of course, longer prison sentences are required for certain crimes, right? So you see, you have your both sides, okay? So, of course, in your writing, you can choose to write a little bit more on the side that you actually agree with more. This doesn't matter. Remember, this is a writing question. It is an opinion writing question. So it's purely your opinion. Whatever you write in terms of content, as long as it answers the question and the vocabulary that you use to express yourself is relevant, then you are fine, okay? All right, so it doesn't really matter which side do you actually support or not, okay? All right, so we have then in the question an opinion that we should reduce prison sentences in the long term to actually reduce the crime rate and replace them with education and community work. And then on the other hand, you may have those who may think that certain crimes still require long prison sentences and why. Okay, all right, so shall we move on? I'm going straight into the introduction. In the introduction, basically you would paraphrase and also state both sides that you are writing on, okay? So everyone would think that reducing crime rate is of utmost importance. So I start with a general line, which is about reducing the crime rate, right? Some people think that shortening the prison sentences and replacing them with education and community work instead is the solution. On the other hand, there are those who believe that keeping the prison sentences long is still the most suitable manner to deal with crime rate. In my opinion, the method chosen would depend on the type and seriousness of the crime committed. Right, so I'm stating here in the introduction, actually, what am I attempting to do in my essay, which is to write about, do we reduce prison sentences in order to solve this problem, or do we have to keep the long prison sentences? Okay, all right, so moving on, I'll do a sample body paragraph. So how you actually write your body paragraphs, it would be perhaps 2-2. So you have 2 body paragraphs on one of the opinions on one side, and then you have 2 more body paragraphs, 2 more body paragraphs on the other side of the opinion. Okay, so I'll show you one sample. I'm using the P form. Right, the P form is a very popular form for writing, especially with opinion writing. The P form is this. P stands for point. What is the point of this paragraph? E is explanation. You have to explain your point. And also the other E is example. It's pretty important to use an example in your writing form. Okay, so some phrases that you can use in the P form. There are those who think that, there are those who believe that, and there are those who are of the opinion that, any one of this, if you want to. They think that, or they believe that for your explanation. And then when you write your example, of course, begin with, for example, for instance, a case in point is, and to illustrate my point. Okay. All right. So let's move on to my sample paragraph. Okay. So this is my sample body paragraph using the P form. Right. There are those who think that the high crime rate in our country can be resolved with a reduced prison sentence policy, which is replaced by education and community work instead. So I'm stating here very clearly that this paragraph is about for those people who think that education and community work should replace long prison sentences. Okay. All right. So as you can see, it's in blue. So this is the P, which is the point. Yeah. My first E, explanation. I need to explain what I had written in blue. They think that when an individual is more knowledgeable and educated, they are less likely to commit crime because they are aware of consequences. It has been proven that with crime, crime occurs less in countries with higher education levels compared to those with lower education levels. Besides that, community work for service is also another great way for preventing reoffense. So I'm explaining, right? And then my example, for example, in Singapore, when an offender is caught littering, they are sentenced to community service of picking up rubbish for 100 hours while wearing a sign. This has proven to be an effective solution to the crime of littering, as the offender has the opportunity to repent. So they are more likely to realize the errors of their ways and rehabilitate. Right? So this is a sample body paragraph using the P form, the blue being the point, the green being my explanation, and also the orange being the example. Right? So I hope this has been useful to you. Do practice paraphrasing, stating both sides of your point in the introduction paragraph, and also try the P form when writing your body paragraphs. Okay? All right, so happy revising everyone, and all the best in your MUET sitting.